Hunt the Snorry. The great expedition to find the Snorry began to assemble at the harbour one misty morning. Colonel Vest, the famous little game hunter, basically anything smaller than himself and preferably no taller than his knee, told the reporters from the newspapers, who all had to get up at 3 in the morning to see him off. "No one is quite sure what the Snorry looks like, so we'll be able to tell him when we find it. Some people say it's covered in blue fur, others say it tends to sneeze a lot. One man, who thought he'd seen it, said it made a loud whistling noise and ran around in circles. Personally, I think it lives in trees and waggles its ears. Anyway, that's what we're going to find out." The expedition certainly looked as if it was going to find out something. The docks were piled high with nets, various traps, ropes, self-inflatable canoes, pieces of old string, and giant crates of tapioca, said by some to be the Snorry's favourite food. Besides Colonel Vest, there were a cameraman, a doctor, a botanist, a plumber, a scissors manufacturer, a knife grinder, a man called Harris, who was very good at French verbs, and 83 other people. Whatever the Snorry turned out to be, there was bound to be someone in the party who could watch it, catch it, talk to it, or throw things at it. They set sail. The Snorry's haunt was said to be in the great tapioca forests of the upper Amazon, and Colonel Vest led his party there. For days and days they trudged on, through the rather murky swamps, full of mosquitoes and trackless jungles, where they spent most of the time following one another around in circles. People they met said, yes, this was just the sort of place you caught a Snorry in, and then those people went away and laughed quietly to themselves. After a few weeks, they'd come right up to the place where the Amazon was no more than a little trickle, and the giant tapioca trees loomed all around them. Still, there was no sign of a Snorry, and at least 3 people had disappeared. Probably the Snorry had gotten them. Harris had suffered a particularly nasty shock too, when he trod on an alligator. Even worse, the alligator could not understand a single French verb when he tried to talk to it. "I give up," said Colonel Vest, sitting down on a log and sneezing. "Does anybody have any idea what the Snorry looks like?" No one did, and they all sat and waited for something to happen. After weeks of traipsing through the tapioca forest, they felt pretty miserable, and most of them were sneezing a lot. A small man who came wandering through the forest, collecting fallen tapioca in a sack, stopped to look at them. "I see you've all caught a Snorry," he said. "Have we?" They looked rather puzzled. "What is it then?" "Well," he replied with a smile, "we call it a Snorry, but I suppose you would call it a bad cold."